not long after we were here the last quarter, Rupert and I travelled down to Silverstone to the Action Coach conference. Took forever to get. I left home at the back of 9 and we arrived in the hotel at 7 o'clock. There were no particular delays or anything. Very long journey to get down to the Action Coach conference, and I love it. The first session on the Friday morning was James, and I was blown away. I was like, oh, that's fantastic. That session was worth me travelling all this way. I could go home now and it was worthwhile. So Rupert and I thought, well, it would be a great idea if we could invite James to come up and talk to you guys here. So if you're not blown away today, it might be that I've had too much to drink when I arrived the night before. I don't think so. James is awesome. Who is James Burke? Well, he's not the former presenter of Tomorrow's World, also called James Burke. There was a 1940s Hollywood actor. It's not him either. It's not the American gangster called Jimmy the Gent, but I think I might start calling him that actually. So our James Burke is a former boxer turned entrepreneur. He's now running an action coach firm in Manchester. He's the winner of 2 Global Action Coach Awards this year. Self-proclaimed best business coach in the UK. Tracy's got an argument with that point. Author of the Journey to Wealth and World Class Mindset, the book. Star of the Amazon Prime series Business as Unusual, and the tallest person I think I've ever met. James Burke.
Thank you, Ryan. Rupert, great to see you guys. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Oh, it's average, wasn't it? That's good. Rupert, can we take this off? Can we take this off the screen? Because I'm going to keep walking past and my head's going to get caught in the light.
If you just click the next slide, there's a black screen.
There we go. That'll work. Beautiful. So let's start with changing that energy. And here's why. I'm going to give you 4 tips actually. You might want to write these down. 4 tips to not only get the most out of the next 56, 57 minutes we're going to spend together, but this is going to help you get the most out of your business and your life as well. So the first one is go all in. You've heard the guy say, Ryan mentioned a couple of times this morning, 100% participation. 100% participation. But think about this. Where are you not going all in your business? I was having a coaching conversation actually this morning with one of the clients before we started here, and she was saying the biggest challenge in my business right now is marketing. I said, great. How much time are you spending on marketing? She said, about 20 minutes. I said, 20 minutes a day? No, 20 minutes a week. I said, right, okay. So tell me about your marketing team. Oh, no, we don't have a marketing team. We're all on delivery. So I said, okay, who else is doing marketing in the business? No one. Okay, so your biggest challenge in the whole business is marketing, and you're spending 20 minutes a week on it. Now we can start to see why, right? So go all in is number 1. I'm going to ask you to go all in pretty soon. We're going to lift that energy. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Team, is that okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. So, tip number 2. Tip number 2 is engage. That's directly linked to number 1. But again, this isn't just about today here in this room. This is engage throughout life, right? When you've got the opportunity to engage, do it. Because the most beautiful thing in life, the most beautiful experiences in your whole life are going to be from relationships with other people. That's where we find true joy, right? So that is key. Number 3 is keep taking notes. And again, that's not just for today either. Make sure you've got a journal somewhere that you store your great notes. Do it in different coloured pens, hence the thought tips on the table. Do it in different coloured pens, it helps you retain the information. And number 4 is understand this. You won't do well, you won't do great if you don't feel great. You won't do well if you don't feel well. So we want to get you guys feeling incredible, because think of it like this. Have you ever been in a really lousy state and then made a decision? Was that decision a good or a bad decision? It's usually a lousy one, right? So if we're feeling depressed, down, tired, sad, whatever it might be, do not make a decision at that moment in point. Here's another great little one-liner for you. A decision made from fear is always the wrong decision. Always. So make decisions when you're on top of the world. There's going to be moments in time when you're full of energy. You're inspired, you're motivated. Make decisions then. And then all you've got to do is have the consistency and discipline to see through that decision as time goes forward. Because there's a thing called the law of diminishing intent. The longer it's been since you made the decision and you've not acted on it, the less likely it is you're going to act on it. So act in the moment. But maybe get great at putting yourself in a position where you feel great, because then you'll do better. Make sense? So we practice this. So what we're going to do, in fact, if you can all just stand up for me, I'm going to show you how your body and mind are linked. We've all been to the gym, had a quick run on the treadmill and felt better, yes?
Of course.
There's like 3 of you in the room that have been to the gym, right? So your body and your mind are absolutely directly linked. So what I want you to do is, we're going to start out dead easy. Just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. And notice which way your body weight is. Are you leaning more to the left, right, front or back? And now, with your eyes closed, just point. Left, right, front or back. Which way are you leaning? Interesting. So open your eyes again. I'm going to keep this dead easy at the beginning. So just do this with your hands. I'm going to just do this with your hands. Hands out. I want you to do 10 small forward circles. Just 10 small forward circles. Try and keep your hands straight. Just 10 of those. Beautiful. When you've done your 10, hands out again, side of your head. Push right back so you could crack a nut between your shoulder blades. And then bring your elbows together like this. And we're just going to do 5 of them because they hurt a little bit more. So 5 of those. All the way back and then bring your elbows together if you can. Now watch this. This is really cool. Close your eyes. Stand back. How you was before. Close your eyes. Just raise your hand if you're more centered this time. If you're more balanced and centered this time. How interesting is that? For probably 2/3 of the room, 3/4 of the room. You can open your eyes now, guys. But we did this, by the way, at conference. In about 10 minutes time from now, I looked around the room, there was still one woman right at the front of the room with her eyes closed. All right, note to self, James, tell the guys to open their eyes. I wonder what was going on in her head over those times. 2/3, literally you've done about 15 seconds worth of movement and already you're feeling more balanced. Your body and your mind are linked. Ever been in a car crash and then got out of the car and been like, whoa, were you a bit discombobulated? Same thing, right? Your mind's just been through an experience that's took over your body as well. So what we're going to do is take this to the next level because I want a really good, strong good morning in a minute. And we're going to get you really moving. So we're going to start out, if you're just getting a sprinting, it's actually a boxing stance like this, with your feet shoulder width apart, facing forward. I'm going to go cheek to cheek, face cheek, butt cheek with your palms. And in a minute I'm going to get you to just pump your arms, you don't need to move your feet, and just sprint with your arms, you're going to see who can go fastest. Then I'm going to say switch. When I say switch, where's Rupert? Rupert, you're going to play Can't Hold Us. And then we're going to see you literally, when I say switch, you're going to be sprint, 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 much faster than I'm doing now. And then you're going to switch and sprint, sprint, sprint. We're going to sprint for about 5 or 6 seconds. And then I'm going to say jump. Guess what we're going to do when I say jump? We're going to jump. Checking the beams. Good idea. And the lights. Don't pull the lights down. So then we're going to jump. I want hands and feet off the floor. Yeah, we're jumping like this. Hands, feet off the floor as well. We're going to do 5 seconds all together, going all in. And then I'm going to say, sit down and pump. And then I want you to sit down with even more energy than you had when you were stood up, and we'll go 1 arm at a time. Are we ready? No! No, we're not ready, James! We're terrified! It's okay. So, in 3, 2, 1, we're going to sprint. 3, 2, 1, sprint, 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 sprint! Go, 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 go! Pump those arms, we're going to go 5, 4, and then Rupert's going to hit some count. Hold on, we'll switch. 3, 2, 1, switch! Sprint, 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 sprint! Can't hold us, isn't coming on. Oh, it's not coming on. Ladder, 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 ladder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jump, 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 jump. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit up, sit up. All ready to the dragon is stood up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little straight quick, give yourself a huge round of applause. Right, again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Much better. How many of you now, by the way, feel better, feel in a better state than you did at 10 to 9 this morning when you walked in? If you do, say yes. Yes. Very cool. I can't breathe. We've got the asthma kits in the back. So, today I'm going to talk to you about 2 main questions. 2 main questions. A great question will lead to a great answer. So these 2 questions I've pretty much dedicated my life to over the last 10 years. Trying to find out the answers. So, let me start by telling you a little bit of my story. I'm going to keep this bullet point, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I brought a copy of the book for each of you anyway, if you want to read more. I'm very high D for those of you who've done this profile, so my whole life story is condensed into 2 pages, which is the intro. So even if you just want to read the 2 pages, then the rest of the book, that's all good. so I'm going to take you right down south. We don't usually say that for Manchester. We're usually up north. I'm going to take you down south to Manchester. I grew up in at this really rough council estate, just outside of a place called Salford in Manchester. I'll paint the picture really quickly for you. The council estate I lived on had a primary school. You did not go to that primary school if you did not live on a council estate. Your parents wouldn't have dreamed of letting you. In my class, there was 10 lads, 4 girls. Those 10 lads, obviously I was one. 3 of the lads in that class, 3 of the remaining 9. One of them was shot right outside of my mum's house. Like, literally right outside of my mum's house. Later on, he went to prison for kidnapping. He's now a drug dealer. He's doing great. The second one went to jail for murder. He murdered someone in possibly the most horrific way I've ever heard. I won't share that with you today because I wouldn't want to scare you. All because, by the way, someone asked his girlfriend for a date, so he murdered him in, honestly, one of the most brutal ways I've ever heard. Really horrific guy. And the third guy went to jail for murder for punching a toddler to death. So this was my environment, right? This was the environment that I grew up in. So we lived in a small house. There was 3 bedrooms, box room and two other small bedrooms. They were like doubles, but really small. And we had a big family, so there's a lot of us in this small house. I had 7 sisters and a brother. So brother was really smart. He fled the nest. He went to Germany in the army at 16. So it left me with me, thanks bro, 7 sisters, and mum and dad, all living in this small 3-bed house. So the mum and dad had the box room, there were 4 of us in 1 bedroom, 4 of us in the other. And the household income at the time was 21 grand a year, and that was, in fact, that's the most that my dad's ever earned. So it's 21 grand a year to feed 10 miles. Poverty is not that common in the UK, but it's pretty much where we were. We really didn't have much. I started boxing, as Benny said, at age 11. And loved it, absolutely loved it. Started with one of my mates who looked just like me actually. I named my son after him, Matthew. Tall, skinny, big ears, short hair. Matthew was mischief though. He was one of those, you know, those friends that you have, and your mum always says. By the way, my mum and her mum were best friends, and even still, she said this. She used to always say, "You really should spend time with other people than Matthew." And I'd known him from being 2 years old. So there's a bunch of us, me, Matthew, and 7 or 8 of us that joined the boxing club at the same time. I wasn't the most talented, but I worked really hard and I got obsessed with learning. That is a big theme throughout my whole story, obsession with learning. So when everyone else was going out partying, I was disciplined, but I was going home watching videos of the old boxers, Jake LaMotta, Jack Dempsey, all the greats, Gene Tunney, these guys. Of course, Muhammad Ali, my hero. And I started to do pretty well. Another big thing on this is, as I stayed in the gym and started falling more in love with it, people started dropping back. So the 10 that we started with, I became the best of the 10 of us. Started out small. Main reason the other 9 had stopped. So, you know, it's more by default than anything. But seriously, there's some truth in that. Seth Godin wrote a book called The Dip. And basically says when you start something, you'll get a success accelerator. But then comes the dip. And most people quit in the dip. So if you just keep going through the dip, you'll end up in the top 10%. Pretty much what happened to me. Kept going. By the age of 16, I wasn't just the best out of those 10 over the club anymore. I was boxing for England. And things were going pretty well in the gym, just not out of it. I ended up kicked out of school, and I ended up homeless because I was just a bit of a prick, really. And following suit with those that were in my environment. When I say I ended up homeless, kicked out of family home, I mean proper homeless. I was sleeping on the streets in abandoned buildings. You remember the old outdoor toilets? Did any of you have the old outdoor toilets in the house? So I slept in those a good few times. That was my first night homeless, actually. And things were rough. But over the next 5 years, between 16 and 21, the hardships got worse, if anything. But at 19, 20, I decided to turn pro. I thought, this is going to be my ticket out of here. And I'd grown up watching Ricky Hatton at Manchester Arena as well. So I loved Ricky. I don't mean watching him in the arena, we didn't have any money to go. I didn't even watch him on Sky at our house. I had to go to friends' houses to watch him because he had the contract with Sky. But that was my dream. I wanted to win a world title in Manchester Arena. So starting a boxing career, then I had to retire. I was medically retired at 21, 22. I was diagnosed with osteoporosis after breaking my jaw in my last fight. And we've done the identity iceberg, right? How many of you have seen the identity iceberg? So talk about that identity. Most sports people really struggle when they finish in sports because their identity's gone. I was known as the boxer, that's all I was known for. But also, depression is when you've got a blueprint of what life should look like, and it's just not going like that. Even that even works with frustration. I'm supposed to be at the meeting for 9 o'clock and I'm in traffic and I hate being late and it's going to be 10 past 9. Frustration. Blueprint, I should be there at 9. It's not going like that, it's going to be 10 past. So my blueprint had gone. My future had been taken, my identity had been taken as well. I went back to my old amateur club and sat down with my old amateur coach. I had a different coach, amateur and pro, you had to change clubs, all that kind of thing. And basically just I wanted him to console me and give me a hug and all that kind of stuff when I retired. So I found out that I was being forced to retire. And it was one of my mates, Baz, who'd been there from day one. He was a couple of years older than me. And Baz was a really good guy. He was, a really smart guy. He had his own business. He had a beautiful house. He had 3 beautiful kids, beautiful wife. And he was a big, strong guy as well. Like you wouldn't argue with Baz, although he was kind and sincere in general. And he sat down with me on the edge of the ring. And he said, I know what you're going through, kid. I can see it. I can see it in your eyes. He said, but no matter what, never stop fighting. We're fighters, this is what we do. Just keep going. So I left the gym doing a little bit. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from Henry, and he said, "Are you sat down?" I said, "Well, I can be. Why?" He said, "Baz has killed himself." So that was the first time that I was introduced to suicide. So I was 21, 22 at this time. I just lost my career. I had these 5 years of hardship, being homeless, and a whole bunch of other stuff that went on at that time as well. And I became severely depressed myself, literally this close to being sectioned, and I became suicidal. I sat there thinking about how I could take my own life. Things got pretty tough. So at this point, I just want to pause the story for a second. I want to ask you guys a question. So I just want you, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes, and I just want you to spend some time. While we're doing these kind of exercises, there'll be times where I say, right, discussing pairs, but while we're doing these ones, I just want you to be completely silent. Not because I'm a bit anal or a school teacher, but because I want you to just spend a couple of minutes, which is what this whole day is about, focusing on you. It's time for you. So just think, I want you to spend 2 minutes on this. Think about where you want to go. I mean, we've heard some great stories about where we want to head over the next couple of years. Where do you want to go? What I want you to ask yourself is this: what's holding you back? Because at that point, when I was sat there, 22, depressed, suicidal, what was holding me back? And I had to spend a lot of soul searching to find answers to that. So I want to ask you the same thing. What's holding you back right now? Right now, you may not be in the position that I was in at 22, but even the most successful people on the planet have some stuff that's holding them back. So, what's holding you back right now? Just spend 2 minutes on that, on your pen and paper, away you go. Write as many things as you can. What's holding you back? Give another 60 seconds. Keep thinking, keep writing, keep adding stuff to the list. What's holding you back? Right, let's start shouting out. What did you get? What's some of the things that hold you back? Let's go to this table.
Kim said nothing.
Nothing's holding you back.
It's not really, is it?
Oh, nice. State of mind. Like it. What did you get?
Still thinking.
Still thinking?
Yeah,
That could be something that's holding you back. Let's go this table over here. Fear of failure. Like it. Very cool. Love that. Thank you. Table at the back.
Lack of belief.
Lack of belief.
Useless at finance, managing my business.
Say again.
Useless at finance, managing my business.
Okay, I'm going to put that skills. Keep them coming.
Procrastination.
Procrastination. I'm going to put that as habits.
Yeah, I call it creative avoidance.
Procrastination. That's a creative way of saying procrastination.
Very creative.
Finding things to do so you don't do what you have to.
Cool. Let's go for one more. One more. What's holding you back?
Focusing too much on what other people in my space are doing.
Oh, nice. Okay. Someone said guilt as well at the same time. Who was that? Great. Love it. I'm going to put that as your thoughts. This is a first, by the way. So usually, when we do this side of the board is full. And usually, what I mean by here, the difference to how I categorise the two sides is these are external things, these are internal things. This is a really enlightened group, really cool. I'm not over-exaggerating. This almost never happens. Where straight away, your automatic is, what have I been doing? Internally, what have I been doing? Where have I messed up? What people usually do is this. Right, what's been holding you back? I know what's been holding you back. Bloody COVID. COVID's been out. Brexit. Who even remembers Brexit? Brexit's been holding me back. What else? There's a recession that's been holding me back. That's usually where people go. You guys are a really cool group. But like I said, external versus internal. So by the way, at 22, what did I blame? This was my mistake. I mean, these things haven't happened yet. That just happened, but these things haven't happened. But I was blaming the government. They don't make it easy to get jobs. No one wants to hire me. That bloody British Boxing Board of Control. All these other things. I was a master on this side of this. An absolute master. But here's the interesting thing. There's no control over here. I have no control over here. And actually, it's not even reality. The reality is all this kind of stuff over here. So, what I want you to do now, another exercise, I want you to just go through this list and write down what are the things here holding you back. So, what are you worried about? What are you scared of? Where is fear stopping you? Because actually, fear's stopping most people, right? Any one of you could go and get a loan for £1 million, and that would help you grow your business, wouldn't it? What's the number one thing that stops people getting a loan for £1 million? That. Fear of the repayment, fear of the debt. Fair enough? Now, I'm not suggesting that as a business strategy, by the way, but you could do it. Beliefs. So, who said the beliefs? This was kind of like belief that I kind of that's what belief is. We have limiting beliefs, we have empowering beliefs. Empowering beliefs is things like Louise said around nothing's holding me back. That's an empowering belief, isn't it? Really empowering belief. That serves Louise massively. A limiting belief would be I'm not good at finance. That's a limiting belief. Because sorry, I missed your name. What was your name?
Nick.
Next to you, Nick?
Tracy.
Tracy said earlier when she was doing the presentation, great job as well, by the way, Tracy. Everything's a learned skill. If we did this on what's a learned skill and what's a natural skill, this side would be full, this side would be empty. Everything's a learned skill. So of course you can learn finance. So what are your beliefs that are holding you back? Whether it's beliefs about your capabilities or whether it's just other limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs can be rich people are evil. Hollywood paint that picture, don't they? Rich people are evil. That might be a limiting belief that's stopping you from accelerating. I don't want to give you any more suggestions of what limiting beliefs might be because I don't want to impose on your list. Skills. What skills do you need to develop to move forward? In what area do you need more skills? And how is that lack of having that skill holding you back? Habits. This is the biggest one. Who's read The Atomic Habits or Power of Habits? James Clear and Charles Duhigg. Great books, both of them. And the stat range is anything from 50% to 80% of everything that we do is habitual. I.e., you don't even think about it. I.e., it's accidental. accident versus deliberate. We're going to cover that in a major way. Most of what we do is an accident. For most people, these things are an accident. How many of you are deliberate about what you're scared of? Not many, right? How many of you are deliberate about your beliefs? Woke up and designed your beliefs? Not many people. You can do that. Absolutely, we do that in our workshop that we're doing for the rest of this week. Deliberate about skills, deciding I'm going to be great at this. Probably more of you are deliberate with that, but we can get to 100%. Habits. Almost there'll be habits that all of you do that are completely accidental. Complete accident. And this is where we want to be deliberate, because habits change the game. Like I said earlier, when you're in a peak state and you feel on top of the world and you make a decision, right, I'm going to go and get a loan for £1 million. It's the habits that will see you through. The decision's been made. Decisions are defining moments, by the way. My friend Baz, his defining moment ended in tragedy. But all decisions, all defining moments are just decisions. That's it. Think about this, racism. How many people in the 50s and 60s thought racism was a bad idea? Loads. Loads. Everyone who'd suffered with racism. And loads of people that didn't. There was loads of white people as well that thought racism sucks. This is clearly a bad idea. So for the billions of people that thought it sucks, what are the names that we remember? What's the first name you think of when you think of the civil rights movement? Martin Luther King, right? Everywhere we go, same name. Slavery, how many people thought slavery sucked? Same thing, billions. What's the name? Abe Lincoln. So why those two names of all the billions of people that thought that it sucked? Because they made a decision that this ends now, on my watch. And that decision created a defining moment, not only for them, for humankind. It created a defining moment. Defining moments come from decisions. But when we're deliberate with our decisions, we have a much better response than when we're accidental with them. And most of what we do as humans is accidental, by the way. It brings us nicely onto thoughts. The most important one on that whole list is thoughts. Because write this down. What you think about, you bring about. What you think about, you bring about. There's a lot of pain right now in the world. COVID has just happened. People suffering because COVID has stopped, funnily enough. There are a lot of businesses struggling that we're into a recession. There's a lot of pain. But you get to choose what you think about. Most people don't. So, 2 minutes on the list, and I'm going to give you another exercise to do as well. So, 2 minutes. Where are you being held back on this list? Be specific. I don't want you to write fear. I want you to write what's the fear. I don't want you to write habits. What's the habit? What are the bad habits? Are you drinking too much? Are you smoking too much? Are you not training and exercising enough? What are the beliefs that you've got? I'm rubbish at finance. Be specific. Don't do thoughts. We're going to get there in a minute. So just do the first 4 things on the list. Away you go. 2 minutes. Just go where you go, move fast, stay focused as well. I'm just going to give you another 20 seconds. You can keep writing while I'm talking. So, when were most of these created, by the way? At what point in our life were most of these created? As children, yeah. Because here's the biggest thing. As children, something happens to you, and we go through challenges and difficulties. How many of you have been through a challenge or something difficult, by the way? And how many of you are not going to put your hand up no matter what I ask? So everyone's been through challenges and difficulties. Think of those challenges and difficulties as grey clouds. These big grey clouds that hang over us. We all go through them, especially in Manchester, there's loads of grey clouds. And as we go through them, as children, we have these defensive mechanisms. And you'll see them in your children as well. There's a defensive mechanism. When you shout at them, there's going to be a pattern, a defensive mechanism that they're putting in place. My little girl's the best at this. She's so beautiful, so cute. She's 3 years old. And every time I say, do you want my angry voice? She says, sorry, Daddy. Doesn't matter what she's just done, forgiven. It's all right, keep drawing on the wall. It's fine. And she does it every single time. So her behaviour. It's a defensive mechanism. Now, here's the interesting thing. As adults, we're still using the defensive mechanisms that we picked up as children, and we're still seeing the world through that hurt child's eyes. It's kind of like the two fish. Two fish swimming on by, and they're having a chat with each other, and then the older fish swims this way. Guy up to them and says, morning boys, nice water today. And they go, morning, get on swimming. 5 minutes later, they look at each other and go, what the hell's water? They've no idea what water is because they've never been out of the damn thing. It's the same thing with our childish defensive mechanisms. Because we've always had them, we didn't realise they've been there since childhood. So this is where it's created. These little grey clouds are created here. But once we're clear on what they are, we can start changing our mind on them, right? And we can start being deliberate about them. We can start designing them. How many of you have got a business plan? In a room like this, I'd expect a good amount of hands. How many of you have got a business plan? Okay, so the more you need a business plan, how many of you have got a personal wealth plan? Personal wealth plan. So even fewer of you. So very few people on this planet have a business plan. Very few people on this planet have a wealth plan. Even fewer have a thought plan. This is the most powerful thing on the whole board. What you think about, you bring about. So what I want you to do now is write down the 5 things that you think about most. And I'm only going to give you like 45 seconds for this because I don't want you overthinking it. Just go with your gut. If you want to get 3, that's fine. If you get 5, brilliant. 5 things you think about most often. And be honest and truthful. I'm not going to ask you to share these. These are completely personal. Don't lie to yourself. Be completely honest and truthful and vulnerable. What are the 5 things you think about most? We're going into a session. You might be worried about the business. You might be thinking about a session. You might be thinking about your cash position. You might be thinking about the bank balance. What are the 5 things you think about most? Your kids might be having trouble at school. You might not have done your goals and now your coach is going to kick your ass. What are the 5 things you think about most? So I'm going off Richard's list here. When Richard's wrote 5, I'm going to presume everyone else in the room is done at the same time. Right, okay. Richard, we're going to move on. So what I'm going to do now is next to your list of things, doesn't matter if you've got 3, 4 or 5, Richard's got 4, that's great. So what I want you to do now is next to each one, I want you to write what percentage of the time when you think about that thing. So like I said, it might be cash. Right, I'm always thinking about cash because it's on my mind, the business is at a point, we've dropped off since COVID, whatever, so I think about cash. Now I want you to write what percentage of the time. Second on your list might be the kids. Maybe they're having a hard time in school. So I want you to write what percentage of the time when you think about cash is it negative. So it might be right, 95% of the time when I think about cash it's negative. Some 5% where I think, yeah, you're doing great, that might be when an invoice lands. When I think about the kids at school, do you know what? 90% of the time it's negative because I'm just stressed out with that bully that's being a pillar. So now just go through each one. I'm going to give you less time on this because you want to write a number. Go with your gut again. What percentage of the time for each one you think of it is it negative that you think of it? And now go across each one, and just right next to it, a tick or a cross. A tick is, I'm where I want to be right now in this area. A cross is, right, cash, I've not got the cash position that I want, that's a cross. Kids in school, I've not got the situation that I want, is that my kid's happy at school, so that's a cross. Tick is if you're delighted with where you're at. Just put a tick or a cross next to each one. So, is there a direct link between the things that you think negatively about most and the crosses? Is there a direct link between the things you think negatively about and the crosses? How interesting is that? So the things that you're thinking about negatively, you're not where you want to be. The things that you're thinking about positively, you're where you want to be. Isn't that interesting? Now, I've done this exercise in front of thousands of people, and not one person that I've ever done this exercise in front of, do you know what I said? Not many people have a business plan, even if you have a wealth plan. Not one of them has ever said, Jim, my list of 5 things is completely deliberate. This is planned out. This is my plan of things. These are the 5 things that I plan to think about more than anything else. Does that make sense? Despite that list of 5 things is going to show up and dictate your future more so than a business plan and more so than a wealth plan, and more so than any other plan that you can create.
I would say mine is exactly like that.
Exactly what?
The way you just described it all together.
You've deliberately designed the 5 things. Can you show me a plan?
Yeah, by all means, that.
Fine.
Yeah.
No, not the one that you've just done now.
No, it's not a plan. What you've asked is for the 5 things that you put down. Are they deliberate? Put down.
No, are you deliberately thinking about them more than anything else? And is there a plan to show it?
No, I'm deliberately thinking about them, but I've not got a plan to show it. But
Cool.
definitely
Did you have?
all the time?
Okay, so you've got a negative percentage here, 10, 20, 30, 40.
Yeah.
Okay, so you decided to think negatively about those things?
I probably would say yes, I do.
You decided to think negatively about
Because it's the
something?
biggest things on my mind.
Okay, then your plan is ridiculously flawed.
Okay. Sure.
Why would you decide to think negatively about something?
It's not that it's negative that I'm thinking about it. It's things that I'm concerned about, and then I'm trying to better them.
Yeah, but you're thinking about it negatively. So then, either you need a new plan, you still not have, I know you want the title, don't you? You want the title of the first person to do it.
I just think that's the
But you've got 40% negative on something. So there's something on your list that you think about, and when you think about it, you think 40% negative. That's not a good idea. So my suggestion is this. Design your plan. Design the 5 things you're going to think about most. Make it 0% for everything, or 1%. I'll give you 1%, just in case the thought creeps in and then you can flush it out with positive thought. And then, design the habit. How many of you have got a morning routine? Okay, that needs to improve as well. Design a habit. Morning routine. Read the book, Journey to Wealth and a World Class Mindset. The back of that book is a morning routine. Add to that your thinking time, your deliberate thinking time. Everything's going to change for you. We've done this with our clients, and literally miracles started happening. Miracles started showing up left, right, and centre. The number one thing that changed on there is what you think about. So be deliberate with it. Great that we've got someone being deliberate with what to think about, but then make sure it's 0% or 1%. And everything will change for you. Be deliberate. That is the key. Can you write those 2 words down actually on a fresh piece of paper, take up the whole page? Be deliberate. Be deliberate with your habits, be deliberate with your beliefs, your fears, your thoughts, everything. Stop waking up like it's an accident.
So my morning routine is wake up, check the emails, and then let them dictate the rest of the evening. That's all just negative.
So you need a new morning routine is what you're saying? Definitely. Definitely.
Don't read emails.
Don't read the emails till late. Yeah. Read the emails later on. The morning routine's in the book. I'm not going to go through it now because I didn't plan on doing that more out of time. But it's in the book. And if you're really Heidi, you're not going to read the whole book. It's only 100 pages because Heidi wrote the book. Just skip to the last chapter. It's in the last chapter. Okay, so the breed of what you think about. So let me pick up at 22, 23. I had to decide what I was going to do moving forward. I had to decide what the blueprint was going to be. Any estate agents in the room? Never admit it in public. Probably like 3 estate agents in here and not admit it. I decided I wanted to be an estate agent. Long story short, I started at 23, answering the phones, doing the viewings. By 28, I was a director for one of the biggest estate agencies in the UK, called Yopa. We started that business from scratch. I was working alongside a couple of billionaires, 120 a year basic, shares in the company, annual bonuses, car, lock, stock, law, office in the Ritz in London or Buckingham Palace. My point is this: I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you. What you're capable of is incredible. In 5 years, I've gone from being depressed, homeless. By the way, at this point, when you look at all the things that are within your control, what were my skills? Punching people in the face. I couldn't use that in a estate agency. It didn't work. So my skills were boxing. That had gone. Couldn't use it anymore. So I had 0 skills basically at 23. What else did I have? Network, connection. What did my phone book look like? Drug dealers and armed robbers is pretty much what my phone book looked like, right? Also not useful. How much money did I have? I mean 0. 0. You know, we all have that moment in the bank. It's like, oh, I remember when I had 4 pence. I had 0, no money. I had nothing, no experience. You can't get much further back than where I was. And yet within 5 years I was here, sat in an office overlooking Buckingham Palace. That's my whole point. What you are capable of is incredible, absolutely incredible. So don't limit yourself, because the only thing that's holding you back, this room is incredible, absolutely incredible. And like you guys said, the only thing that's holding you back is these things. So the question that the 2 questions that I spent my whole life thinking about is this. Number 1, or since 23 at least, I was introduced to personal development and I started reading. Number 1 is this. What makes successful people successful? Because at that point in time, at 23, I thought talented people were talented and for them life was easy, and untalented people were not talented and for them life was difficult. That was my belief system. So I had to learn what makes successful people successful and unsuccessful people unsuccessful. So I found this formula, and this is incredible. I write this down. So we're going to start with, we call it the big AC. These 5 things are pretty much the 5 things that will change the game for you. This is the difference. So, what is the difference between successful and unsuccessful? Is it IQ? So think about it like this. Let's go successful. Let's measure in terms of money, because money is a great measure. It's easy to measure. Let's say the average billionaire versus the average person. Average person in the UK earns right now about 32 grand a year. So, does the average billionaire have more than 10 times what the average person has? The answer is yes, right? Easy maths. Do they have a 10 times higher IQ? No. Almost impossible. The highest IQ on the planet, when it was last measured, 196. If you had a 19.6 IQ, you wouldn't have been able to get here today. You wouldn't be able to tie your shoelaces. So no, they don't have a 10 times higher IQ. Do they have 10 times more hours in a day? No, they have the same, 24. We all get 24. So the gaps here, actually, the gaps between IQ is actually minimal. There are some of you in here that have much higher IQs than some billionaires. You've all seen Donald Trump, right? So, time, we've got the exact amount. We've got the exact same amount. So where's the gap? Here's the gap. Have a guess what the B stands for? Belief's a great one. And definitely, belief's got to be in this cocktail somewhere. The B stands for books. So I read this stat in my 23, 24. Anyone heard this? The average CEO reads 50 books a year. Anyone heard that stat?
Yeah.
The average CEO reads 50 books a year. So I started reading 100, just because I'm competitive. But there's another stat, and this was done by Oxford University, so this might be the English more than the Scottish, we don't know. But it was done by Oxford University, and the stat was this. 58% of the general public never read a full book again since leaving full-time education. 58% versus 50 books a year. Now we can see a gap, yeah? Massive gap. So this is the first one. By the way, should we learn on accident? You know when people say that, I've got 20 years experience, I've been learning from my experience, that's called learning on accident. Or should we learn on being deliberate? Whatever your goal is, whatever you read today with your 90-day plan, what should you be reading for the next 90 days? If your next 90-day plan is about marketing, you should be reading books on marketing, yes? From the best in the world as well. Go read Seth Godin's books. Make sense? Be deliberate with your learnings. The eyes, what does the eye stand for? Individuals. We've heard this stat as well, right? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That was definitely true for me in my 20s, early 20s. I was absolutely the average of the 5 people I spent the most time with. So think about that. By the way, are the 5 people you spend the most time with accidental or deliberate? Interesting, right? I'll let you sit on that one for a while. But do the maths. Get the 5 people, write them down. Write down what you think they earn and average it out. And see how different your earnings are to those. I bet it's not that much in it. It might be 10, 20, 30% either way. But I bet it's not much. 10, 20% is not much. Because a billionaire's probably got like 100x on you. Isn't that interesting? So the individuals is second. Be deliberate with that list. Write a list. Design it. Plan it again like we talked about. Design the 5 people you're going to spend the most time with. What does the G stand for, team? You'll get this one. Goals. So here's another interesting stat for you. 98% of people in the UK do not have a goal. Do not know where they want to go. Now if you don't know where you want to go, where are you going to be 5 years from now? Where you are now, give or take 5 or 10%. You've got to have crystal clear clarity on where you want to go. And when you do, and then you start taking action on it, miracles happen. So my biggest goal was always Manchester Arena. I wanted to box there. Couldn't box there. And then when I started an estate agent, we went, and one of my friends, Anthony Crawler, a fellow Mancunian who I trained with, won a world title in Manchester Arena. How cool is that? So I was there when Ant won the title. It was ecstatic. The atmosphere was incredible. I said to my missus at the time, she's now my ex, bearing in mind I was an estate agency, I said, I'm going to do something in this arena. I don't know what, but I'm going to do something in here. And she probably thought I was crazy. What are you going to do? Sell houses from the arena? And then I started public speaking a few years later. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. Now, musicians and sports stars fill those arenas week in, week out. Do you know how many public speakers have ever filled an arena that big? 2. One of them's called Grant Cardone. He leveraged it through a lot of people. And the other one's called Tony Robbins. So that was always my goal. Now, I've always been crystal clear on that goal. As soon as I started public speaking, that was the goal. The problem is, it was one of those 10-year goals that stayed a 10-year goal. You know what I mean? Like you're 4 years in, but it's still a 10-year goal. It's not a 6-year goal. Now, here's the thing. When you're crystal clear, I call that your North Star. This isn't just about goals for the next 90 days. Where should your goals for the next 90 days be taking you? Towards your annual plan. Where should your annual plan be taking you? Towards your North Star. Everything I'm doing, all my goals are set towards getting me towards Manchester Arena. Now, here's the other thing. If you get your North Star, get really clear on it. It's worth spending some time thinking about it. It's what you do in your alignment with your coaches. When you're really clear on it, whatever date you put, bring it closer forward. Because my plan was build a profile like Tony Robbins, and then I'll do it the same way he did. Sold it on the back of his own name. Do you know how long it took Tony to do that? 40 years. He's 63, Tony, and he's just had another kid as well. Crazy guy, clearly. But it took him 40 years. Seriously, from the first day he started speaking to the day that it was the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai where he did his first arena event. It took 40 years. I'm not that patient. So I sat there in Hawaii at a global conference like Brenda mentioned earlier. And I was asking all these great coaches around, and I thought, I'm just going to pick everyone's brains, go big talk instead of small talk. So I was asking everyone, if you could only leave one piece of advice for your friends and family, what would it be? And I asked a woman called Julie Wagstaff, who's the Action Coach Master Licensee, and she said, with complete conviction, straight away, before I even finished asking the question, when everyone else had earned and armed and come back to me at lunch, she said, read, think and grow rich every day for the rest of your life. So, wow. Now here's the thing, when someone says something with that level of conviction, you do it, right? And especially someone that's successful. So I started reading the book. And in the book, there's 5 exercises. So I was doing the exercises, and one of them is spend 30 minutes a day thinking about who you need to become. Being deliberate with who you need to become is a repeat theme. So I'm sat there in the hot tub doing this exercise, who do I need to become? And it hit me. I just need to do this now, why wait 10 years? But what's the earliest I could possibly do this? I reckon 2 years. Like, right, I'm doing it in 2024. And as soon as I made that decision to do it in 2024, the ideas started flooding me of how I could do it. And I was having all these ideas. And I went through 15 seconds of fear. You can have your 15 seconds of fear, that's okay. And when you come out the other side, you've got all these ideas, and I thought, it's a who, not how problem. So I need to speak to relevant people. The first phone call I made to a friend of mine who does this kind of thing, does these big events, I told him the idea. I was like, I've got this idea for Manchester Arena. I can do it in 2 years and we can fill it and turn it into a business that tours the UK. And he was like, tell me the idea. I told him the idea. I told him the plan. I said, it's a foolproof plan. He said, that is a foolproof plan. How much do you need? I said, I reckon about 3 million quid. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 1.5. How cool is that? From deliberate conviction. But here's the thing, I knew where I wanted to go. I was really, really clear on it. So don't just get clear on your goals for the week. Your goals for the week should be moving you to your North Star. Because now you're living a life on your terms. You're chasing dreams instead of chasing the next invoice. What does the A stand for, team? The A stands for action. Now here's the thing. This isn't just action for action's sake. This is action on the North Star. This isn't me just building my coaching profile to one day I'm Tony Robbins. This is me deliberately ringing the Manchester Arena and saying, right, what do I need? I'm doing an event there, 2024, what do I need to do? Who do I need to speak to? Right, can you give me the numbers? That's me deliberately working on it rather than just kind of saying I'm working on it. Does that make sense? You've got to take the action on the North Star. And then last but not least, the C.
Consistency.
Consistency it is. You guys nailed it. Because by the way, moving towards a big ass North Star like that, is there some challenges? Yes, there's some major challenges. Really big challenges. Is there some fear? Yeah, I have fear most days. Most days I'm shitting myself. It's all good. Is there some belief challenges? Can I actually do this? Biggest audience I spoke to is 2,000, is 21,000 at Manchester Arena. Of course there is. Is there some skills that I needed to learn? Yeah, majorly. And do I need to change my habits? But the number one thing on my list, you know the list of 5 things you think about most? Number one on my list is Manchester Arena. And it's deliberate. I have a habit in the morning that I go through every single day where I spend an hour thinking about Manchester Arena. Really, really deliberate. So be consistent. Number one thing that stops people achieving the North Star, they did. That's the killer. Just keep going. If you say, I'm going here, and you just keep going towards there and don't stop, you'll get there. It's when people change their mind every 5 minutes or they stop going, that's when they don't get there. So be deliberate, chase that North Star. More important than anything else. I'm going to give you 60 seconds, write an action plan. What are you going to do based on the back of those learnings? 60 seconds, where you go?
Oh, nice song, Rick. I tell you that.
Listen to the lyrics of this song. Absolute genius. Listen to this, man.
I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design.
Live in a world that you design deliberately. A life on your terms.
The brightest colors fill my head. A billion dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be. A vision of the one I see. A billion dreams is all it's gonna take.
Listen to this.
A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
How cool is that? Dreams keeping you awake instead of nightmares. How cool is that? The second question. So the first question that I spent my whole life considering is, what's the difference between really successful people and those that are not that successful? The answer's on that board. Here's the second question that I spent my whole life dedicated to. How far can I go? how far can I go? 10 years ago, I put on a ton of weight. I've just been homeless, suicidal depression. My career was just ended. I had no contact and no money. And I'm about 18 months away from Manchester area. It's happening, by the way. Done. Already done. The tickets will be released in 3 or 4 months. How far can you go? So there's some blindfolds on the table. Just pop them on for me. Right, Ben, there's a few wallets on the table. Grab them quick. Right, what I want you to do is take a big, deep breath in through your nose, into your stomach as well. Let your stomach fill up. Let it out. Relax it out. One more big, deep breath into your stomach. And when you breathe out, just relax it out. What I want you to do is just imagine you are floating up just outside of your body now, just above it. So you're just going up to those beams. Maybe sit on the beam, get comfy. And look down at yourself. Keep breathing those big deep breaths. Now go a little higher. Keep floating up into the clouds. A little bit higher, just above the clouds. I want you to look down again where you are. And that point represents the present. Look out in front of you. That's your future. And it is spotless. It's waiting for you. Waiting for you to design it. Waiting for you to create it. And just ask yourself that question. How far can you go? And now look behind you. Now there's an end when you're looking behind you. The day you were born. So just get clear on where that was from where you stood now. And in between where you were born and where you are now, there's a whole bunch of grey clouds. And there's some beautiful shining stars as well. Start making your way towards that day you were born. Slowly. And just look at those grey clouds. And look at all those beliefs and thoughts and fears that were born in those grey clouds. And just before you get to that very first one, your very first grey cloud, that big challenge that you went through, I want you to stop. Stop just before that grey cloud, that first one. And come back down to the ground, come back down to earth. And as your feet land on the floor, you look up on the horizon and you can see a figure, a silhouette. So you start walking towards it. And as you start walking towards it, you notice it's walking towards you. And as you get closer and closer, you realise it's you. It's that young version of you. There's been through 0 clouds so far, but there's a big one in front. And as you realise who it is and they realise it's you, you run towards each other. You're not walking anymore, you're running at full speed. Just as you embrace and you grab them and hug them and squeeze them really tight. Just look at that young version of you. All that hope, all that faith in their eyes. Grab them by the face, kiss them. Tell them you love them. Pass on that love. And tell them how much you believe in them. Ask them that question, how far can we go? And tell them there's a big grey cloud coming. But don't worry, because we're in it together. And I'm here for you. And I'm going to keep you safe. And everything's going to be okay. Tell them one last time how proud you are. Tell them everything's going to be alright. And this time, just before you leave, tell them how proud you're going to be. And now float back up. Say goodbye, float back up. Go back past all those grey clouds, back to the present moment. And we're looking forward again now. And just look out onto that horizon. How far can you go? If you control those thoughts, control those habits, your potential is unlimited. What I want you to do is really carefully stand up. I'm not going to ask you to do anything else other than stand up, but just stand up with the blindfold on, just really carefully. I want you to put your hand on your heart, I want you to stand tall. Stand really tall, shoulders back, head high. Stand like a champion. Stand like the brave warrior that you are. You have been through so much. Now it's time to reap the rewards. But only by being deliberate. And have a look out to that horizon, look into that future. What do you want it to look like? It's time to design your life, a life on your terms. And if you're going to design a life, make it a masterpiece, my friends. Stand tall, big deep breath in again. Hold your heart, shoulders back, head high. Because what are you capable of? Listen to the words of the song. That's what you're capable of. The future is in this room. We create it, we design it, a life on your terms. Come back to the present moment. Come back down to this room. Come back into your body where you stood right now. And just imagine yourself going under the tabletop and picking out two envelopes. One's red, one's green. And the red one says the penalties that you will pay for not controlling your thoughts. If life continues to be an accident, what are the penalties that you will pay? Just think about what that list might include. What might be inside that envelope? And the green envelope says, the riches it will bring if you direct your thoughts. From this point on, get really clear on your North Star. The second thing to do is start working directly on it. And the third thing to do is keep going when things get tough. You've got this team. I believe in you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're here. Take your blindfolds off. Look under the tablecloths. Pull the envelopes out. Underneath your tablecloths, go to the tablecloths. Be careful of the glasses. On the table. So underneath the tablecloths, but on the table like this. They're yours. Not take a read. Move it across. I have got a coaching session at 11:15, so I'll be dashing pretty quickly, going straight into a break after this. 3 goals. But most importantly, just spend some time over the Christmas break, spend some time today thinking about that question. How far can you go? That's me, that's a wrap. Thank you, team.